We really found that the accusations against Grand Canyon, which is a faith-based organization, and we looked at all the facts of the case.
I am familiar with the university.
Really,
my question is, how are those students going to be made whole if you are not allowing the university to pay the fines? What's the plan?
I'm not sure that that's the right analysis of.
Folks, you are not going to believe this. Ilhan Omar just tried to lecture Linda McMahon about fraud and ethics. Yes, Ilhan Omar, the same congresswoman surrounded by controversy, is now acting like the moral authority in Congress. But what happened next completely flipped the script. McMahon stayed calm, stuck to the facts, and exposed just how weak Omar's attack really was. Watch this.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Madam Secretary, for being here with us. Is it fair to assume that you are aware that when a student loan borrower is defrauded by a school, that there is a provision in law called the borrower defense?
Yes, I am.
Okay. It is a straightforward concept. A student should not be forced to repay loans to schools that lied to them. We know that millions of federal grants and loans go out the door while students are left with education that is not worthy. So I was actually surprised a few weeks ago when your department quietly rescinded $37 million fine that was placed against Grand Canyon University. Can you explain why that happened?
Let me think for a second. Let me review my notes on that because there were a couple of things I wanted to make sure I covered with you. We really found that the accusations against Grand Canyon, which is a faith-based organization, and we looked at all the facts of the case.
I am familiar with the university.
Really,
my question is, how are those students going to be made whole if you are not allowing the university to pay the fines? What's the plan?
I'm not sure that that's the right analysis of it, but I will look into it further and get back to you.
And you'll give me back a writing?
Yes, I will.
Writing? Okay. Because we know that, you know, the president in whom you serve had a fraudulent university called Trump University, and he himself settled 3 lawsuits before becoming president. We know that there are roughly 1.4 million borrowers who have been approved for a borrower defense discharge and are still waiting for that process. How are you clearing out that backlog?
In terms of the borrowed defense funds?
Uh-huh.
Oh, there are lists of that. I'll be happy to get back to you with those numbers.
Okay. And while those students wait, can you give us a commitment that you are not going to collect that debt?
Yeah, I'll have to get back to you on that as to what the situation is. And
I don't understand how that's a difficult question to say yes to. They've been defrauded. They are waiting for relief. While they wait for their relief,
well, if
they shouldn't have to pay back that debt.
Well, if they've been defrauded and it's been adjudicated that they've been defrauded, then I will get back to you as to what the time frame is and why there's a holdup if there is.
Okay.
I'm not sure as I sit here right now.
Wonderful. There was, I know that you've been questioned a lot on IDEA and its funding. I won't re-litigate those questions. I just have 2 particular questions to address, or 2 areas to address. We know that the IDEA, that you have gotten rid of the legal team that guides the states in implementation. How are you going to rectify that?
I don't know what you mean by we've gotten rid of the legal team. We have had some reduction in force of
There was a
members.
firing of the entire legal team.
Well, we have other lawyers in place at the Department of Education, and we are
The
fully...
entire team that was for IDEA has been fired. So how are you addressing that?
Because we have other lawyers who are in place that can handle those things. And as I mentioned before, we have not missed any of our statutory requirements.
Well, I do believe that firing hurts the implementation. We also know that you have gutted the Office of Civil Rights when there is already investigation backlog. How are you going to fix the discrimination claim cases that are out there?
Well, there are, excuse me, there are cases that we're looking into. And again, we have not missed any of our statutory requirements in terms of OCR. We also have a task force.
There is a backlog. There are a lot of
There is a backlog
There are a lot of
because we
kids in our schools that are waiting for relief. When you get rid of the people that are supposed to carry out those investigations, how are you to assure that those kids will not continue to be harmed? We are talking about so many situations in where kids are being discriminated against, and you got rid of the people that investigate those investigations so those kids can protect themselves from from discrimination.
Well, we still have a very strong.
Ladies and gentlemen, this hearing turned into an absolute disaster for Representative Ilhan Omar. She walked into that room thinking she was going to corner Education Secretary Linda McMahon over Grand Canyon University and student loan forgiveness. She came in aggressive, interrupting constantly, trying to create a viral moment. But instead, she ended up exposing exactly why so many Americans are exhausted by this style of politics. Now, let's break this down. Omar's main accusation was that the Department of Education rescinded a $37 million fine against Grand Canyon University, and she framed it as if the administration was protecting wrongdoing. But Linda McMahon didn't panic. She didn't get emotional. She simply said they reviewed the facts and determined the accusations didn't justify the punishment. That's called due process. You investigate, you review evidence, you make a decision based on facts, not ideology. But Omar wasn't satisfied. She kept pushing, interrupting, and trying to force McMahon into sweeping promises on student debt relief. And every time McMahon tried to answer carefully and responsibly, Omar acted shocked that complex legal questions can't be answered with a simple yes or no soundbite. That's the difference you saw in this exchange. One person governing, the other performing. And here's where the irony becomes impossible to ignore. Ilhan Omar spent this hearing talking about fraud and ethics. Really, this is the same congresswoman who has faced years of controversy surrounding campaign finance questions and allegations involving payments to her husband's consulting firm. The same politician whose district has been at the center of ballot harvesting accusations and election controversy debates. Yet somehow she wants to position herself as the face of accountability. Americans see the double standard. And notice something else. Omar's rhetoric is always the same. America is broken. Our institutions are corrupt. Our systems are oppressive. Our schools are failing because the country itself is flawed. It's constant negativity. Meanwhile, Linda McMahon stayed focused on policy, process, and facts. Whether you agree with every decision or not, she handled herself like someone actually trying to run a department, not someone auditioning for social media clips. And voters noticed that difference because at some point people stopped caring about outrage theater. They want solutions. They want competence. They want leaders who can answer tough questions without turning every hearing into political performance art. This exchange perfectly captured the divide in Washington right now. One side trying to score headlines, the other trying to defend policy decisions based on evidence. And honestly, the American people are getting tired of the circus. So, what do you think? Was Ilhan Omar exposing government failure? Or did Linda McMahon completely shut down a political ambush? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit like and subscribe for more breakdowns that cut through the noise.